In the next 17 minutes, you're gonna discover your true, most authentic self.
And trust me, this is not just a catchy tagline to make you click. I've spent the last 10 years studying the psychology of self-discovery just so I could come here today and share with you how you can stop pretending and start being you instead of playing this little role in the hopes that people around you are gonna love you. That one hurt. But trust me, I felt the pain too. I spent most of my life trapped in this little Miss Perfect persona, doing everything that I could to be the perfect daughter, the perfect friend, until it all backfired. And I find myself in the darkest place I've ever been, both mentally and emotionally. Have you ever felt like you were just playing a part, like you were never being your true, most authentic self? Well, what if I told you that you don't have to spend 10 years in therapy or, like me, hit rock bottom just to get to the bottom of it and find out who you truly are? What if the key to unlock your most authentic self is actually simpler than you imagine? I've learned 5 powerful steps that completely transformed my life, and I want you to feel what I felt. The freedom of unapologetically being and living like your most authentic self, because you deserve that too. This could change everything, especially step number 3. That is a little scary, I'm not gonna lie, but once you learn it, you can never look back. You can never look back. Step number 1, ask yourself, what if no one else is watching? Let's start with this question. What if no one else was watching? What would you listen to? What shows would you watch? How would you dress? If the whole world was silent and it was just you, what would you do? But to explain my point better, we need to go back to 2010 when I was just a teenager. I remember being a teenager and crafting this list of what my perfect dreamy boyfriend would have / be. And there was so many items, like so many items. But I remember a few of the items. I remember that one of them was he needed to play an instrument, he needed to love cinema, he needed to love classic rock, and he needed to dress like an off-duty rock star. Very specific aspirations my teenage self had. Okay, that sounds pretty great, but then, and that's where my problem starts, I wrote a correspondent list of all the things that I needed to have and who I needed to be, so this perfect imaginary boyfriend would look at me and think that I was his perfect, maybe not that imaginary girlfriend. And those things I needed to love foreign cinema. I needed to know all the superheroes, not only the very famous ones. I needed to listen to indie bands that basically nobody else ever heard of. I needed to dress in a very specific way. Like, I see where my teenage mind was, but it did not, it kind of backfired. It kind of backfired because I ended up stuffing my life with a bunch of things that made no real sense to me, okay? I spent hours watching French movies, although I thought they were so boring. I started dressing in hoodies and ironic t-shirts just to make me look cool. I listened to so many bands I thought were so boring, but they were obscure and almost nobody else knew about them, so of course I needed to. All the while, all I really wanted to do was watch High School Musical and wear pretty dresses, but that did not fit the bill for the cool girlfriend aesthetic. It just didn't. But here's the thing, and I know this may sound a little cliche, but when you start living for others, you stop living for yourself. So here is your first action step. I want you to ask yourself, what do I really like? If no one else was watching, what would I do? I want you to take some time today to write down what are those things for you. Stop the noise. What would you do just for you? Now, and I know some of you are already thinking that, okay? I read your mind. It's just like, here. Yes, I see. You are thinking, but Isabelle, I have no taste. I really don't know what I like. Where do I start? Does this even work for me? Yes, it does. I have something for you, okay? My little dear friends with no taste. Here's what you're gonna do. You are gonna start exploring. You're gonna be a little Dora the Explorer, and you're gonna start exploring things. I want you to open Netflix and be like, I'm gonna watch a show or a documentary or a movie that I normally wouldn't watch. Go and watch it. Go to the bookstore and the library and grab a book that you would normally not read. There is a friend of yours that is really into this very specific type of music that you are not. Go to a concert with them. Try a hobby or a class. There's tons of free classes in your local library that you would normally not go for. And then after you tried and you take the experience in, you're going to stop and be like, okay, I'm a little researcher of myself. How was that? Did I like it? If no one else was watching, would I want to do that again? If yes, why? And if no, why? You start taking notice of the world around you and what would you actually go for it? Because figuring this out is the key to what I'm calling step number 2. Step number 2, take time to nourish yourself. Now that you're starting to live more authentically, it's time to start nourishing yourself. This is much like raising a little new plant. You don't want to just throw the seed in the soil and be like, good luck, rain is gonna come. Although I tried before, and I can say from experience, it doesn't work. That plant actually needs intention, time, care, a safe space, much like you. That for me happened around 2014, 2015, when I went through what I like to call my monk phase. I said, bye-bye, kisses, see you soon to absolutely all my social commitments. I only went to college and church and home. And that was it. I said no to birthday parties and trips. I did everything that I could to just fully clean my calendar as much as I could to discover who I really was, to have time to invest in hobbies and things that I have never had time for before. I started to discover and rediscover a lot of very interesting things about myself, things that I liked and things that I didn't like. I remember that a few of my most interesting findings at the time were the following. I actually loved running. I thought that I hated the gym and that I hated exercises and anything that made me sweat. But at the time, I lived very near the beach. I'm originally from Rio, Brazil. Yeah. So I had the joy, the gift to be able to go run by the beach every single day. And I was just like, how did I live without this? This is amazing. I discovered that I loved my hair long. So I let my hair grow long. And right now we are a little bit in a phase that we don't know if we like our hair long or short anymore. So to be discussed. And another very interesting thing that I learned that is specifically not between 2014, 2015, that was actually happened when I first met my husband, 2018, is that I love being silly. I used to feel like I needed to be so serious and take myself so serious all of the time so people would respect me. And then I found playfulness again. And I was like, gosh, I love not taking myself seriously. That's it. I love you. This is real. This is me. I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be now. It was wonderful. And this is so freaking interesting because all those things were direct opposites of who I thought that I needed to be in order to be loved and accepted and cool. Isn't this silly? Although like the silly part is good, but the whole thing in itself is silly. The key here is that you have to create a space to nurture yourself. You have to give yourself the time to rebuild from the inside out. And this is what our action step, it's action step or action mind. I don't know. So the next thing that you will do, take time to nourish yourself. Whether it's reading a book you've been meaning to, taking a walk, or simply sitting in silence. It's your time. Start with 30 minutes this week where you focus purely on your own well-being. No distractions, just you. Once you feel like you gave your true self a solid amount of nourished self-care and self-love, and not that this ever truly stops, but for this next step especially, we will need to have like a solid base of self-care and all self-love, like a thick layer, because step number 3, it can be a little scary and you might want to give up. But trust me, it's going to be the most freeing thing you will ever going to hear in your life. Step number 3, the world is not going to end if you let people down. I know this is hard to hear at first, and it can even sound like a lie, especially if you're living in the people-pleasing to the max mode. So let that sink in. I used to be terrified of saying no, especially to my parents. But once I finally took the plunge and started setting healthy boundaries, I realized something. The people who love you, who really truly love you for the right reasons, even if it feels uncomfortable at first when you're setting boundaries, they are going to stay. The relationship is going to adjust, things are going to move around. You guys are going to stay in each other's lives. And the people who are not in your life for the right reasons, they're going to go away. So setting boundaries is kind of repellent for people who are not worth it. I see no problem with that. This is your next step. Start saying no to things that don't align with your true self. I want you to think of one situation this week where you can say no and then do it. And when you do, notice how it feels. You might feel anxious or even guilty at first, and that's completely normal. But trust me, with time, you'll begin to feel more confident in saying no, and soon setting boundaries will feel more natural. If you need some extra help, I wrote a detailed boundary setting guide on my blog. It even has some scripts for conversations when you're first starting to set boundaries. You can go to the link in my description. It's completely free, it's on the blog, and I'm sure it's going to help you take the first steps feeling a little bit more safe, a little bit more with someone holding your hand, because you will know exactly what to say. Once you start setting those healthy boundaries, you are going to start realizing something that is a major paradigm shift, especially for us people pleasers in recovery. And this major thing is what step number 4 is all about. Step number 4, accept that not everybody is gonna love you or even like you, and that's still okay. I feel sorry. I'm just giving you hard truths to swallow. So before we continue with this one, let's just stop for a second and take a deep breath and let's go. Okay, you're still here. You still want to do this? Okay, me too, so let's do it. Not everyone's gonna like you, and guess what? That's okay. In fact, that is actually a good thing. The key here is to realize that you're not here to please everyone. For you to please everyone, you will have to live in chameleon mode, changing, adapting, molding yourself to make sure that everybody is content at all times. And this is exactly what we're trying to avoid. This is exactly what we are trying to change. To be loved by everyone comes at the cost of losing yourself. Think of it like this. When I first moved to the United States, I tried cheddar caramel popcorn for the first time, and oh my gosh, that is a snack sent from heaven. It is so good. It is a perfect snack in my opinion. It's salty, it's sweet, it's crunchy. But when I go share about my love of cheddar caramel popcorn, some people say like, that is such a weird mix. That is like disgusting. I don't know how you can eat it. I get it. I get it. Not everybody's gonna love caramel cheddar popcorn. And if I was cheddar caramel popcorn, I would want people to like me for who I truly am. I would not like someone to say like, oh, you're fine, but I would prefer if you took the cheddar out, or I would prefer if you put some M&Ms and some Nutella in it, although that kind of feels like you would be good. No, I want people to be passionately defending me in a YouTube video because they love me exactly the way that I am. So please tell me, do you like cheddar caramel popcorn? Have you ever tried cheddar caramel popcorn? Thoughts, feelings, first impressions? Please let me know in the comments. And the whole point of the story is to say that some people are going to love you, and the people that are going to love you are going to love you for who you truly are. And if we're not going to like it, that's okay. They're not what you stand for. Let them go. There's plenty of people in the world. And this whole story actually brings me to a very important shift that I experienced last year. Last year, I was already pretty solid in who I am. I understand that not everybody's gonna like me, but a work situation happened where someone else was picked for something that I really wanted. And that shook me up. It shook my confidence, it shook my self-worth a little bit, until I came across this quote from Jamie Kernlman's book, Worth It, that I'm actually seeing right here. So let me grab the book. I'm gonna read it for you. This is the book. And in this book, Jamie says something that it was life-changing. When I get rejected or fail, I often imagine God saying to me, you weren't rejected. I hid your value from them because they're not assigned to your destiny. And I really believe it. Just let that sink in. It's not rejection, it's protection. Thank you, Jamie. So here's your next actionable step. Embrace that you're not gonna be everyone's cup of tea. Start shifting your focus from worrying about others' opinions to honoring your own. Try this. Today, identify one person or situation where you have been bending over backwards to please someone who doesn't truly get you. And today, just for once, don't people please. Say no if it doesn't align with who you really are. Once you've accepted that not everybody is gonna love you, you're finally gonna be ready for step number 5, which is basically where you're gonna spend the rest of your life. Step number 5, stay open to change and evolution. The final step is all about evolution. You are not a static version of yourself. You're a living, breathing, walking, moving human being in constant evolution. And you don't have to have everything figured out at all times. Allow yourself to change, to move, instead of being locked in a version of yourself that it was given to you. I've learned this through my own journey. Like I've shared with you, I've spent many years locked in this image of little Miss Perfect. Everybody needs to love me all the time, and this is who I am. And when I finally found out, like this 1.2 version of myself, I was like, I like this person. I don't want to change this person. I want her to stay exactly as she is. But when I realized that allowing myself to try new things and evolve and change was actually good, because every time I learned something new about myself, I've got in touch with a better, newer, wiser version of myself. And with every single new finding, it was just like going another way. Isn't this kind of magical? This example is gonna sound a little silly, but I feel like it's gonna make my point. I used to roll my eyes at fantasy movies. I was like, why would I want to spend 3 hours of my life seeing people casting spells and dragons and creatures that don't exist? Like, what is the point? It's just so boring. But then last October, my husband and I were making a list of movies and films and things that we wanted to watch and do during October. And it was like, okay, why don't we put Harry Potter in our list of Halloween movies? I grew up with parents that did not let me watch Harry Potter. So I was like, oh, Harry Potter seems so boring. But whatever, it's Halloween, put it in there. I can just watch the first one. And if I don't like it, I don't need to watch the other ones. And then I realized that I'm a Hufflepuff through and true. And how did I live my life before knowing that? When I found out I was a Hufflepuff, I was like, so many things make sense in my life now. It was wonderful. Ended up watching all the movies. Do not regret that decision. The lesson with all of this is that being open to new things and new experiences may help you go into a deeper understanding of yourself. So here's your final step. Be open to change. It's not about changing for others. It's about evolving into the version of yourself that you were always meant to become. Embrace those changes, trust the process, and know that the real you is waiting to show up in ways that are way more beautiful than you could have ever imagined, because you are a masterpiece in progress. Now it's your turn to take action. What's gonna be your first step? Where in this whole journey are you right now? Drop a comment below and let me know, because I seriously can't wait to chat with you. And if you like this type of content of discovering your most authentic self, creating a life that you love, and becoming everything that you are meant to be, please consider subscribing. It will mean a lot to do this journey with you. I see you very, very soon. Ciao, ciao.